Hey everyone, Scott here, back from a quick vacation with Mrs. TSB. Got to see some friends we haven't seen in a long time, some places we haven't been to in a long time, some new, and I made it to some bookstores. And I brought this back. This is a vintage Oxford Apocrypha. It's the authorized version, so the King James, and it's the Brevier Clarendon text block. That may be familiar to you, as R.L. Allen has done reprints of that text block in recent years in fine bindings. I don't know that they've done the Apocrypha, but they have done Bibles with the Old and New Testament. This is a separate Apocrypha, and I don't know how old it is for sure. This marking in the back has 1567. I don't know if that could be 1967. I think that would make sense for this. Dust jacket is intact. It's in really great condition for however old it must be. It's kind of a dark blue, I think. I thought it was black at first, but I think it's a dark blue. Just a very simple design. They've got the coat of arms of Oxford University. This says Dominus Illuminatio Mea. The Lord is my light. And that's from Psalm 27, right at the beginning. We can see here in the King James right there. And that's the motto of the university. Go ahead and get this dust jacket off. I'm going to put a protector on this for sure because it is in such wonderful condition. And look at the book itself. It looks brand new. I don't think this got used much. There's the Apocrypha, kind of a copper foil. It's a little darker than, I wouldn't call it gold per se. It's interesting on the spine, the Apocrypha, it's like upside down from how we normally see that on books. Unique. Hardcover. And I paid $2 for this at a library book sale. Very happy with that price. The book's called the Apocrypha, according to the authorized version, Oxford, printed at University Press. There's another note. This is the Brevier Clarendon text. And this was printed in Great Britain. Got a brief introduction to the Apocrypha, notes on canonical authority, how Josephus saw it, its inclusion with the Septuagint, etc. Table of contents. Now, if you're familiar with Bibles containing the Apocrypha, a lot of them today will have the what we call the expanded Apocrypha, as Oxford called it in 1977, when they added additional books to the RSV to make it useful to those in the Orthodox tradition, like 3rd and 4th Maccabees, Psalm 151. Might be one other I'm forgetting, but this is just what was included in the King James translation. And then we have the actual apocryphal books. It's a double column layout. No notes or anything at the bottom. No references. We do get, each chapter has a summary. So here we're looking at the beginning of the Wisdom of Solomon. And this is what I'm talking about here with the summaries. It summarizes it to whom God showeth himself, and wisdom herself. An evil speaker cannot lie hid. We procure our own destruction, for God created not death. So you have that for every chapter, and I'm not sure how much I would really utilize those. I probably would rather just go ahead and get into reading the chapter, but that could be helpful to refer to if perhaps having a little trouble kind of grasping it, although ultimately whoever wrote these summaries, you're then depending on their interpretation as to what are the important points of the chapter. So should be used with caution. I wanted to point out on this page too, we see the print here is a little fuzzy, or I'm not sure how to say really. It just isn't quite as good as it is like on this side. I think that's just, it's an older book, didn't have quite the ability we do today to consistently print well, and so there are some pages here and there that are printed a little better than others. You can see most of them look really good. Not much else to really show inside. Like I say, it's the Apocrypha in the King James. Size, it's about 4.5 inches wide, 6.5 inches tall, and approximately 3/4 of an inch thick. See, we have a little bit of a blue there on the bottom, like a gilding, although the here and here I don't see that so much. I don't know if it faded or worn out, maybe faded in the sun somehow. But yeah, it's a great little Apocrypha. This could be really handy. I know a lot of King James Bibles don't include the Apocrypha. The one I used earlier to look at Psalm 27, it says Cambridge, does not have the Apocrypha. So if you're doing, say, morning prayer with a Book of Common Prayer that includes the apocryphal readings, and you don't have them in your King James, something like this would help fill in that gap. I personally have a few Bibles of the Apocrypha. Most don't. I'm Protestant, was raised in the OMC, and we didn't have the Apocrypha as scripture. We did include it, though, in some acts of praise, which is very interesting to me, because we don't have it as scripture, but it is included in the 1960s hymnal. Here's one right here. This was a special edition with this, I think it's a bonded leather cover. But we see here in the Acts of Praise, Canticles and Other Acts of Praise, we've got number 625 is from Wisdom of Solomon, and a few others from Wisdom of Solomon, and then 624 is from Ecclesiasticus. So there was apparently, although not used as scripture in the OMC, there apparently was okay to use the Apocrypha for praise. I don't know what the official stance is, or if it's changed at all, but it was interesting to find that was part of our hymnal, at least back then. I don't think the 1989 hymnal had any apocryphal readings. I could be wrong. I hope you enjoyed seeing this little King James Apocrypha. Be curious if any of you have a standalone Apocrypha in any translation. Tell me about it in the comments. They don't seem all that common, but I have run into them here and there. This is the first time I've bought one. Yeah, leave me a comment. Give me a like if you enjoyed this. And if you'd love to see more, I invite you to subscribe. As always, I thank you for watching, for continuing to follow the channel. For those of you who've been around a while, much appreciated. And to all of you, God bless, and we'll see you for the next one.